Hello, everyone. Quick recap and uh, a preview of this week's watch list. I haven't looked at these, so I really don't know how they've done. It was a rough week for trading. I know I mentioned, and I know a lot of other people mentioned that we had inside weeks with large mother bars, so we knew there were going to be some issues this week, and there was going to be some chop. Doesn't mean you couldn't get any trades, find any in there. I did have a few winning trades, a few stop outs, um, but I have not reviewed the trades. So ignore all these lines. This is just something I was playing around with. I just haven't removed them yet. Um, I was just trying to find some stuff here. So just ignore all that. In fact, let me just go ahead and pull it off of here. Uh, there it is. Okay, so the first one on last week's list was Nike. I had it for inside week up. You can see the inside week here. It never broke, so the alert never triggered. So therefore, that was a non-issue. I'm going to clear all these drawings out of here. Nothing to look at there. Should have never entered it because it never triggered. Roku was also an inside week up. Roku triggered right here. It triggered and it broke. It hit target 1. Let's go to the daily. You can see here on the daily, it triggered it here. I have two alerts. One for an inside day, which was here, which kind of matched up with the inside week. So that's why there are two alerts with two targets. So this was a target for the inside day up. You can see the inside day broke. It hit target 1, almost hit target 2 on that same day, which would have been the weekly high or the weekly target. It did break it here, but then it pulled back in. So these on the weekly and daily were both good trades, good entries, good targets. Would have got filled on those. And I think I actually did trade that. I don't think I held it quite to the target, but I did trade that for, I think, a few dollars. So let me pull these, clear these drawings. And that was it for the inside weeks. I don't always do 222 weekly reversals. However, because last week there was some slim pickings, I went ahead and did that. So let's go to the weekly chart. This would have been 2-2 and a 2 backup reversal. You see it did trigger, but it didn't hit any of the targets. So that would have been a failure. It actually opened here and pulled back. Then it would have came back up. This is the most likely scenario without me going to a smaller time frame. I'm just kind of guessing what happened. Opened here, pulled down, came back up to here, and pulled back and closed here. You still could have made money if you would have entered here and sold here, but that's not the plan. We're going to call this a fail just because it didn't break. The end of the week came and it didn't break target 1, so we're going to call that a fail. Hey, I'm not trying to be perfect on these. I'm trying to be real on these. It's not helping anybody if I say, yeah, that was a good trade because it got halfway to the target. No, that's not the plan. If you work full time and you set your target and you set your stop and you don't have time to look at it, that's a failure. So NVIDIA, I had the same scenario here, 222 on the week. Somehow all these lines got knocked out, but the entry would have been right here, and I would have stepped down to the daily target or daily time frame for targets, and I would have had a target right here. I would have had a target here, which we didn't get that high. So the trigger was here. It broke target target 1. It almost hit target 2. We went to 608.88. Target 2 was 609.87. So we almost made it to target 2. But I would consider this a win. Target 1 was broke, and that's what we look for. Anything on top of that's just icing on the cake. So Nvidia was a win. And you got to remember, this was a tough week to trade. It's not, nothing was a gimme this week. And I'm not keeping track of these. I think we said Nike didn't trigger. Roku was a win. I don't remember what PayPal was. I'm not keeping track of a percentage, but so this would have been inside. Oh, actually, you know what? I deleted the old one because I have an inside week down. I would have been. This was under the 222 up week, so weekly chart. I would have been looking for a break above this high. This high was 58.75. This was 58.67. So it never broke. It never would have triggered. So this was a no entry. These are for my current weeks, which I'll go over. Twitter was break to the upside. There was your trigger right there. Target one right here. Target one was hit. Doesn't mean it's done. It still may continue, but this is a weekly chart. I'm only going to play a weekly time frame on it. If you're still in it, yeah, maybe it'll run up here and hit target 2. Maybe go out and take target 3. We don't know. But this would have been a win. So this would be considered a win in on my list. Next one was DraftKings, and I know I deleted those because it's on the watch list for this week, and I deleted those. I probably should have did the video first for last week's and then did a new video for this week's. But I had a 222 for this week, which would have been a trigger above this. We never got that, so it never triggered. So that would have been a no entry anyway. Starbucks, I had for a 122 week up. There's your 1, there's your 2. Entry would have been above this. It never got there. So that was a no entry. Clear drawing set because that's dead now. Inside day up, CVS. Let's go to the daily. Inside day up. This was the inside day. Entry would have been above 89.80. Target would have been, let me go to, I would have went to the 60 to find a target. 89.80 was the entry. It would have been, it's hard when you go back. You have to go back. Daily. 89.80 was the entry. Let me put a line there. So that was my entry. My targets would have been right here. So is that, yeah, it was a daily. Oh no, we have to go way back because we're a week. We had to go a whole week back. So once it broke, that would have been it there. That would have been the high. So I would have went back here for targets. This would have been a target, and this would have been a target, and they were both hit. So Starbucks would have been, or CVS would have been a good entry. Tesla, I know never triggered. I had Tesla to the upside. It never went. And just because I have it to the upside doesn't mean I think it's going to go to the upside. It's the way that I would favor it. There was longer range time frames that were pointing to the upside. So that's the way I would have wanted to trade it. That didn't happen. If we go back to the daily, my entry was over 592.87, and I have that because I'm looking at my phone. I have it on my phone. 592.87, so above here. But again, we would have been way back here. That was inside day up. Oops, we're on a daily now. Okay. Inside day 592.87 right here. Break above the high of this would have been entry, and target would have been, we have to go way back here now, 592.87. So target would have been up here, and we didn't hit it. We did break it, so there would have been an entry trigger, but it didn't reach its target. So We consider that a failure. Now let's look at this week's. Here's what I have. I have alerts set. The first one will go to Apple. Apple is an inside week. I have it looking at it for the downside. That doesn't matter. You can't trade it. It doesn't mean you can't trade it to the upside. I'm looking at the downside only because if you look at the month, we are in a 2 down month. We're closer to the bottom of the candle than we are the top. If we traded to the upside, I wouldn't feel comfortable unless we got way up here. And I'm not saying we can't get up there, but that's an $8 move. It might happen. I'm not saying I won't trade it to the upside. I just that will be something I'll have to play by ear as the week goes on. If we wake up tomorrow morning and I get an alert for this, it's most likely going to be the downside because it's going to be an $8 move to break to the upside. You see right now we're at about 125.50. I guess only 250 to break inside week up. I do have it set. Come to think of it, I did set it for both ways on this one. Yeah, I did set it for both ways on this one. So inside week up, if we break to the upside, or if we break to the downside, I go back to the daily to look at the targets. Inside week up, we have a target here, we have a target here, we have a target here. If we break to the downside, we have to break below here. Pretty tight to get to the next target. It's only 60 cents. Target 2 is going to be down here, and you notice there's a gap right here. So let me fill that gap in. I think this is the tool for gap or for creating a box. No, it's not. Okay, I don't use that tool too often. Let me see. Not sure what tool it is to fill in a shaded area. I thought it was this one. But either way, you see there's a gap right here, and that's what these indicate gaps. So you see there's a gap right here. Target 2 is going to be the very start of that gap. Target 3 is going to be filling that gap, and target 4 is way down here. So that's my first one. There in the watch list for this week, there was somebody said there was over 800 stocks that had inside weeks. I'm only looking at the ones that I'm comfortable trading, that I trade often. There's enough out there. If you don't trade options, you want to trade lower price stuff, whatever your plan is. There's enough out there. You can find something. Las Vegas Sands. You look here on the month, it's a 2 down. Yeah, it bounced from here and came back up, but I don't see anything here right now that's telling me it might go to the upside. The momentum seems to be going more to the downside, except for the last week. It's kind of went up a little bit more, bounced up, but it may go up. I'm not saying it won't. That's another one I'll play by ear. But I'm looking for something to the downside here. 55.29 is the low of that candle. Go to the daily targets or daily time frame for targets, and I have 54.65 for target 1. Target 2 I have way back here, and it looks like pretty good support here. I know we don't use support when we're doing the strat, but we had a lot of candles that were bottomed out right around this level. So 54.22 seems to be a pretty good level, so that might be a good target to bounce from. Yeah, I said we had a pretty good week up to the upside, but then we pulled back down yesterday or Friday, so we may be looking at another pullback down. So see what happens. Boeing, I really don't like trading Boeing, but I'm going to put it on my list and I'm going to watch it. Boeing, we're looking at inside week up, and everything on this list is inside weeks to the upside. There's enough there. I'm not even looking at dailies right now. I'm not looking at rev strats, 1-2-2s, anything like that. I'm just looking at inside weeks. Inside week, you see the weekly chart. More momentum, late momentum to the upside. Monthly chart, we're kind of a doji here. It's a 2 down. But it's looking like it wants to try to start coming back up. So we're going to see what that does. We go back to the weekly. Break above 236.30, which is the high of this candle. We go to this daily for targets. You see we have a target here. We have a target here. After that, I'll play that by ear, but there's, we're looking at $8 move from the alert to the target too. So if we have to, we'll put another target here, another target here, another target here, here. Don't know that it'll get that far. Boeing can move pretty good, so it might. Boeing, Baba. Baba on the weekly chart. Looking at the downside here. Look at the monthly, it's a 2 down. No indication of it wanting to reverse direction. So we're still looking at playing to the downside. Weekly, it's a kind of a doji, kind of like a dragonfly doji, or gravestone doji. So it's not looking good. Yeah, it shot up, but towards the end of the week it pulled right back down. So we're looking for a break below 209.44, which was last week's low. We go to the daily for targets, and we have a target down here. This one here is 209.44, which was the low of the week. So your first target's here, your second target's here. There may be more targets. You have to go back further to look for more targets. You're going back pretty far. You're all the way back here, almost a year back, to find lower targets. Yeah, it's a 1 year daily chart, so you're almost a year back to find lower targets on this one. So, Bubba, DraftKings, I mentioned that already. It's on the watch list again. DraftKings weekly chart. You see we have an green inside candle. Look at the monthly. It's 2 down yet. It's bounced the past week. It bounced back up. There's still no indication that this is going to reverse to the upside. I'm still a little bit bearish on this one. So look at the weekly chart. Yeah, we bounced up, almost pulled back down to a doji. So you see the last day or two it pulled back. So let's see, we'll check the daily. Yeah, Friday it pulled back. So go back to the weekly. A break below 41.81 is your entry. Target 1 is going to be a pretty tight one. So if you look here, your entries here. Target 1 is the low of this candle. That's only 30, not even 40 cents away. So I'd probably kind of ignore that one. Here's target 2 here. DraftKings, that's DraftKings, McDonald's. McDonald's on a weekly. Let's see what the monthly looks like. Monthly's a 2 up, but it's red. It started up here and it's been coming back ever since. So this isn't looking great for the upside, although I do have it marked for the upside. It could very well keep coming back down. If we do, oh, I got the wrong tool. I'll show you how I mark these. If you have this set here, where's it at? Right here, snap drawing to OHLC. Set that to snap drawing to OHLC. And you don't have to get dead on. You don't have to get right on it here. You get it close. Look, see, I know I mentioned this before, but you get it close, it stays right there. So I can even be way down here and click it, and it's still right on that mark. So let me edit that. Inside week down. And I go to the daily for targets. Let me set an alert for that. 228.18. at or below. Paste that in. So now I have an alert set for if it breaks below that. I go to my daily to look for targets. I have a target here. I come up here. T1, I already have it on my clipboard, so just paste, Control V. T2's here. If you want to look for another target, 226.19. Okay, there's no gap there. Next target would be here. If there was a gap there, I'd say, yeah, we might come down and fill that gap. T3. And that's what I do. That's how I set these up. So that's it for that. Now, if you want to talk about stops, there's different ways to do it. For McDonald's, let me find something a little bit simpler that I'm only looking at for one side or the other. Las Vegas Sands. So let's say we open tomorrow right here. Maybe we open right here. We closed here, so we'll probably open maybe closer to here. It depends on what happens overnight. Let's say we open up here and then we pull down all day and we get our trigger. Now, you don't want to set your stop all the way up here. That's too far to go. You're looking at almost $2, over $2 actually, all the way up here. To put your stop at the high of the candle that you got in on is too far of a stop. So what you can do is you can look at maybe halfway between this candle, which would be about here. You could look at that for a stop. You could possibly go down to the daily time frame and you could say, okay, the market opened right here, came way down here. Now we don't want to do daily because the daily is going to be timed, or going to be coupled. So the hourly, and now I don't have my. Okay, we open up here, we come way down here. You might want to look back here, see a little bit of support right in this area. You have 1, 2, 3, kind of 3 levels of support here that it touched. You can kind of look at that and say, okay, that's going to be my stop. If we break above that, I'm stopping out, because your entry is going to be here. You might look and say, okay, it's coming back up. Keep your stops tight. Another thing you can look at is these pivot points. I know some people don't like pivot points. These seem to be pretty accurate. You see right here, we bounced off it a couple of times. They only go back one time period. So if you're looking at the hourly, it goes back one day. So you can't go back and see what they were previous days. But you look at the weekly, they don't even show up on the weekly. Actually, yeah, they don't show up on the weekly. I think they'll start showing up when the market opens tomorrow. They'll start showing up on here, starting right here. So you go down to the daily time frame and you can see them here. You go to the 60. You can use these pivots as a stop. You know, your entry might be here and make this your stop. And actually this kind of coincides with these levels here that I mentioned, real close to that. So this might be a pretty good area. Maybe give it a few cents, because sometimes it'll pop up. Steve Nissen calls these snap and crack. If you look that up, he mentions snap and crack a lot. Steve Nissen is like the kind of the king of the Japanese candlesticks. He was kind of the one that introduced it to America, and done a lot of research and written a lot of books on it, done a lot of videos on it. But he calls it a crack and snap. If it pops up above, you see this one's at 55.57. Maybe it comes up to 55.75 and then it snaps right back down. It cracks it and then it snaps back the other way. So you might want to give it a little bit of extra room here. 55.57, maybe set your stop at 55.75 or something. You know, give it a little bit of room just in case. There's another thing people can use is broadening formations. I don't use them as much as I probably should, but let's look at look for an inside. For some reason these inside candles are supposed to be different colors, and I don't know why they're not. If you look here, my inside candle is supposed to be yellow. My outside candle is supposed to be pink, and on this chart they're not. So I'm not sure what happened there. So let's look for an outside candle on here. There's one right here, weekly. Let's go to the daily. You see one here. You can go from, see that high is 61.15, 61.19. Let's just go from, we'll go from here. Oops, wrong tool again. Go from here to here, and from here to here. It's just generically. Sometimes these broadening formations will fall in line with your stops. Maybe you're playing something to break out. Maybe let's just say right here, it broke above this. You entered. You could use this broadening formation as a stop. So there's different ways to do it. It's all in your risk tolerance of what you're comfortable with. So, like I said, there's a lot more stuff in here. A lot more. There, so many inside weeks that QQQ was one, SPY was one, GOOGL was one. There were so many of them, but it's the problem with Google. If I remember right, it was like the monthly. For some reason, I didn't like it. It was an inside month, I believe. It was an inside week, but it was also an inside month. And I didn't. We're right in the middle of this candle. So which way is it going to go? We don't know. Google's too expensive. You buy options, you're going to spend $1,000 at least, $2,000 maybe for one contract. It's not worth it for me to get in when it's right in the middle of a monthly inside candle. We don't know which way it's going to go. So stuff like this, I didn't alert. It's not saying you can't trade it. You can make a few $100 maybe. It's not worth it to me. The risk isn't. The reward's not worth the risk for me. So things like that, I didn't alert. QQQ, inside week. Was 2 down on the month, but it's pulling back up. Kind of one of those things. I'm kind of looking at it more to the downside to come to here, but the weekly looks a little bit stronger, like it wants to come back up. So it's kind of a little bit of conflict. Maybe not necessarily chart conflict, but in my mind there's conflict. It's a 2 down, it's red, that's great, but in the last week it came back up. So is it going to continue going back up, or is it going to hit a dead end and coming back down this week? The weekly, it's almost in the middle, slightly above the middle. It's just not something I'm comfortable playing, so I'm just going to ignore it. There's enough other stuff out there that has better looking charts. So why play something like Google that's kind of stuck in the middle of everything and could go anywhere? I'd rather look at something that's a little bit more safe, a little bit more sure. So anyway, thanks for watching, and good luck this week, and hopefully should have some good setups this week. Hopefully the market plays nice and we can all make some money on it. Thanks for watching. Bye.